begin debate 1, cashew processing in Africa. Will it survive and grow with or without government support and incentives? Moderating this debate is Mr. Sènou Valentin ATCHAOUE from Winrock International. Joining the debate are Mr. Siva Subramanian, Afri Ventures Group, Mr. Alex Ngetia Assouman, AEC-CI, Mr. Arnaud Serge Isidore, SN Anatrans SA, Mr. Pulkit Jain, Pajson Global, DMCC, and Mr. Antonio Manuel Caramelo Raposo, ACPG. Please join us for debate 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let the debate begin. Handing over to our ringmaster, our moderator, Mr. Sènou Valentin.
My name is Valentin ATCHAOUE. I work for Winrock International, an American NGO, on a project that is called WCAP, Women Economic Empowerment Through Cashew Processing. It's a project that is funded by the MasterCard Foundation and implemented in 3 countries, Côte d'Ivoire, Guinea-Bissau, and Senegal. It is my privilege to moderate this debate, and I heard this is the first of its type, so thank you for inviting me. I believe this will be one of the most thought-provoking sessions of this year's conference because the theme is actually quite unique. Can our industry survive and grow with or without government support and subsidy? Over the past decade, we've witnessed remarkable growth in African cashew processing. We've just heard that Côte d'Ivoire became a giant in terms of cashew processing. This growth has been fueled by so many things, beginning with maturing technology, progressive government policies in some countries, evolving buyer preference for traceability and lower carbon footprint, and a post-COVID push to diversify supply chains away from single-source dependency. But still, the picture is not uniform. So we have success stories which are concentrated in countries with robust support system and clear incentive structures, while others struggle to gain traction. This raises fundamental questions about the sustainability and scalability of our sector. So I would like you to help me welcome the speakers. I have friends and I have people I'm meeting for the first time, but I think this debate is going to be enriching. The format is going to be straightforward. We'll have introduction from the panelists, then exchange of points and counterpoints. We also need your engagement to make this actually engaging, and then final submission. So I encourage both spirited debate and mutual respect. I'll give you the opportunity to the guests to introduce themselves. I'll begin with Mr. Caramelo, Isidore. Please, can you tell us who you are, where you are coming from, your experience in the cashew sector, and also particularly about Africa, your experience in Africa?
Good afternoon. My name is Caramelo Raposo. I come from Ghana. I already worked in several countries in the cashew field, but my experience is processing cashew nuts in Ghana. What can speak about our challenges in Ghana? What do you mind?
No, just introduce yourself for now. So, Mr. Pulkit.
Hi, I am Pulkit Jain from Pajson Global. I am processing raw cashew nuts in India, and I've been doing that since last 5 years. And now I am setting up a processing in Ivory Coast, which should be running in about 2 to 3 months from now. And I've been in the industry from last 13 years as a raw cashew nut trader, and now I am also into processing.
Thank you. Monsieur Assouman.
Merci. Je suis Monsieur Ngetia Assouman Alex. Je suis dans la noix de cajou depuis 20 ans, dans le secteur de l'exportation. Et je suis le président de l'association des exportateurs de noix de cajou. Et depuis un bon moment, le PCA du FIRCA. Je viens de la Côte d'Ivoire. Merci.
Merci. Monsieur Arnaud.
Merci. Je suis Arnaud Serge Isidore Woba, actuel directeur administratif et financier de SN Anatrans. Et Anatrans, c'est une compagnie de transformation de la noix de cajou qui existe au Burkina Faso depuis 2008.
Sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Siva. I'm the Group CEO of Afri Ventures. We've been associated with Africa for a very long time, as long as a century. We are in cashew trade for the last 10 years. We started with RCN trading, and we are into processing in Ivory Coast now. And we're also getting into processing in India now.
Thank you so much. So the question is, should the industry in Africa continue benefit from the government support? So I have on my left those who are against it, and then on my right, those who are for it, actually. Okay, so let's begin with those who are against it. Can you please, give me example, okay, of industries in Africa that has been like thriving without government support? Let's begin with Mr. Caramelo.
I cannot see anyone.
Okay. Okay, then I think we need to put a chair here for him to stay there. Okay, then the question is going to you, sir. So can you give us example, because I understand you are the only one here against the government intervention, right? So can you give us some example of countries that have been, that have seen the industry progress without the government support?
Yeah, I would like to say that, initially government support is definitely required. We cannot say that to start an industry without the government support is difficult. But I would like to add here is that it cannot be forever. The industry players and all have to understand and have to see as the industry grows and on year basis, that support has to be taken off. So whether without that, are you able to run your processing and or not, that has to be seen. So like in IVC, if you see, government started their support. And so support is, a very vast subject. We cannot say just support. It is about the incentives. Okay, support is about the policies. Policies have to be there. In any country, without favorable policies, no business can take place. So I would not talk about the general support. I would talk about the incentives rather. So like in IVC, like the government gave a lot of incentives, and this year we are hearing some incentives are going, they are taking off. But as the industry has grown over there, so then ecosystem has been developed. So I say that when an ecosystem is developed for the industry in any country, then if the support is withdrawn, the industry will thrive for sure.
Okay, thank you so much. So let me go to my right. Je commence la question en français. En français. Alors, est-ce que...
Bien entendu.
Voilà, très bien. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire, durant les 10 années passées, quels sont les exemples de politique ou d'appui du gouvernement vous avez vu en faveur de l'industrie et qui ont porté le fruit?
Merci pour l'opportunité que vous nous donnez de parler de...
Ça, c'est pour la Côte d'Ivoire.
Oui. La transformation. Bien entendu, j'ai dit que je suis le produit de l'exportation de noix brutes, mais je vais m'y mettre quand même. Je dirais que la question de savoir si la transformation de noix brutes de cajou en Afrique doit être nécessairement accompagnée par les gouvernants, je veux répondre par l'affirmative. C'est très important. Pourquoi je le dis? Vous savez, il y a un paradoxe qui se crée dans ce commerce. Vous avez l'Afrique qui produit pratiquement 3 200 000 tonnes et exporte près de 2 600 000 tonnes. Et donc, la conséquence directe, c'est le manque de valeur ajoutée face aux produits exportés. Et la recette fiscale qui est vraiment faible. Et j'allais dire aussi qu'il y a une dépendance de cette exportation-là de ces pays-là. Et je pense que c'est au vu de ce manque-là que particulièrement la Côte d'Ivoire a décidé d'accompagner cette industrie pour éviter que l'Afrique produise et l'Inde et le Vietnam captent les richesses.
À votre avis, est-ce que ça porte ses fruits?
Absolument. Le cas de la Côte d'Ivoire, c'était un exemple parfait.
D'accord, merci beaucoup. Monsieur, voilà, voilà, ça c'est le Burkina. Est-ce que dans le cas du Burkina, l'appui que le gouvernement apporte à l'industrie porte ses fruits?
Oui, je dirais que ça apporte énormément ses fruits parce que Anatrans lui-même est un produit, est un exemple certain de ce qui est en train de se passer. En 2024, lorsque nous avons arrêté les activités, il a fallu que le gouvernement puisse nous apporter un appui pour qu'aujourd'hui nous puissions être encore fonctionnels. Alors, en termes d'exemple, le gouvernement a pris une participation dans le capital d'Anatrans à travers le Fonds burkinabé de développement économique et social. Et ça a permis donc de donner une plus grande crédibilité donc, à la société, ce qui a attiré d'autres investisseurs en plus du FBDS, des investisseurs privés, des sociétés, qui ont donc aussi intégré le capital, qui a permis de relancer donc, la structure. Donc ça, c'est un exemple. Et en plus de cela, il y a aussi le fait que le gouvernement, à travers des banques publiques, ont aussi permis à Anatrans de pouvoir lever les fonds de campagne pour permettre donc de financer l'achat de la matière première et donc de transformer. Et hormis cela, il y a aussi d'autres initiatives concrètes qui sont déployées par le gouvernement. Aujourd'hui, à travers le Conseil burkinabé des filières, il y a un programme qui a été mis en place pour permettre d'octroyer des équipements aux industries de transformation de cajou. Et donc, ces équipements-là sont en partie subventionnés par le gouvernement. Ça permet donc aux unités de se relancer, ça permet donc aux unités de continuer de transformer. Il y a aussi un appui au niveau de la production, parce que bon, on ne peut pas transformer s'il n'y a pas de la production, des produits de qualité. Du coup, ils accompagnent les producteurs dans la certification, dans les bonnes pratiques agricoles. Et c'est tout cet écosystème-là qui est mis en place qui permet donc à la transformation africaine de pouvoir tenir. Et donc, c'est assez difficile aujourd'hui dans notre contexte de concevoir qu'il y ait une transformation hors de l'appui gouvernemental. Parce qu'il faut qu'on puisse mettre en place des politiques qui encadrent, qui accompagnent les unités. Parce que nous sommes en compétition directe avec des gens qui ont plus de 100 ans d'expérience dans la transformation. Nous sommes en train de démarrer. Et tant que ces bases-là ne sont pas mises sur pied et sur place, ce sont des unités qui vont ouvrir, mais qui vont malheureusement fermer à un moment. Donc, il faut qu'on les accompagne pour qu'elles puissent atteindre une certaine maturité. Et après cette maturité, donc, elles pourront se prendre en charge.
Merci beaucoup. The same question goes to you, Mr. Siva.
Like I said, actually, so we have been in Africa for pretty long. And our experience so far has shown very clearly that when the government does not provide an enabling environment for the industry to thrive, the industry perishes. I can give you a number of examples. To start with, actually, we were the largest stakeholders of textile industry in sub-Saharan Africa in Nigeria. We had a fully integrated textile mill starting from cotton growing, spinning, weaving, processing, finishing, printing, and branding and marketing African prints in Nigeria. That entire industry collapsed just because the enabling environment was not provided by the government. It was a very matured industry and the second largest employer after federal government of Nigeria. The entire industry collapsed. The industry doesn't exist today. Another example is the cotton industry in Nigeria. Again, cotton was a thriving product, in Nigeria. Cotton is completely gone out of Nigeria, whereas the neighboring Cameroon and Chad still sustains cotton production. So is Benin. So when the government takes the right initiatives and they provide the supporting environment for the industry will thrive, without doubt. A solid example is what we just heard from the IVC team. The Ivory Coast has clearly demonstrated to the rest of West Africa how they could take an industry from where it was to where it is today. Like they said, from 200,000 tons of production to 1.5 million tons of production in 20 years is absolutely amazing. And in Ivory Coast, cashew industry provides 3 million plus direct jobs, which is 10% of the population. 10% of the population is actually dependent on cashew industry today. Because of this growing importance of cashew, it is provided. This is direct employment. This is just about direct employment. There is also a lot of indirect employment that is generated. So if we calculate all that, it is almost 5 million. 5 million people are dependent on cashew industry today. Why? Because the government has created an infrastructure in such a way that it provides support not just for today. They are looked at the short term, they are looked at the medium term, they also looked at the long term. Like I agree with Pulkit and me, both of us have no stake in Ivory Coast. So Pulkit's point of view is right, that the industry has to become competitive. The industry will become competitive at the right time. But in the initial days, actually, if you don't provide that kind of support, the industry will definitely not be able to sustain. So look at the investments. $550 million of investment has come into the cashew industry in Ivory Coast. 150,000 tons worth of production. Today it is 650,000 tons of production capacity is there in Ivory Coast. And it is not stopping, it is growing. Their target, they still have a target. They want to achieve 1 million tons. Now, 1 million tons of cashew processing, it doesn't stop there. This is just a beginning, because there is so much more value add that can happen there. And this also is driving an example for the cocoa industry. All of us know West Africa is the largest producer of cocoa, but what percentage of the cocoa's value chain is retained in Ivory Coast or in the neighboring countries? It all goes away. The value addition, the significant part of the value addition today is actually sitting in Europe and various other places where they make the chocolate. So what needs to be done? So if we really want, in cashew, why stop at cashew processing? Go to the next level. We can have cashew butter. You can have cashew milk. You can have cashew
Excuse
spread.
me. I think we come to that question later. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. We have a lot of questions actually. So let's talk about competitiveness. Okay. You were mentioning competitiveness.
Yeah.
So I think the mic can stay with you for you to answer this question. Gulf Food have just ended. I was doing some marketing actually. Okay. And when I go and meet some buyers and I said, okay, well, we have cashew in Africa. Do you want to try and all something like that? They will say, we would like to try, but the price is higher than Vietnam. How do you think we can achieve price competitiveness in the African context?
Very good question, actually. So that is where I think, this incentive-driven support will improve the productivity. See, what are we lacking in? Number one, again, Ivory Coast, if you look at their prime objective is also to drive local consumption. How do they drive the local consumption? The price has to be competitive. How do we get the price? We have to get the cost of production lower. How do we get the cost of production lower? We have to make sure that the skill development happens and the productivity improves. So all the industry is working towards that actually. So if we see, we started our operations 2 years ago. So when they were doing actually, if they were doing 3 tons that time or 3 kilos that time, now they are doing 11 kilos. So the skill development is automatically happening. That will improve the cost of production.
Okay, thank you so much. So the same question goes to Mr. Caramelo. How do we achieve price competitiveness in this context compared to Vietnam?
Compared with Vietnam is very difficult. But the factors in Africa, should modernize the system compared with Vietnam. Now the cashew passed by one big transformation because all sectors, we modernize the whole systems. The efficiency of the machines is better. The electronic machines is more in place. You need to reduce the number of the workers. You need to be more effective in the way you're processing the kernels. That also in the whole chain of the production, you need to reduce the number of the workers. You need to increase our capacity, efficiency, the way you can process the kernels, to reduce our cost, to be more competitive to compare with Vietnam.
Okay, thank you. A typical example from Burkina Faso. How do you achieve price competitiveness? How do you compete with Vietnam on the international market? Oh, sorry, c'est en français. D'accord. Très bien. On est en train de parler de compétitivité en matière de prix comparé au Vietnam, par exemple. Parce que quand vous allez sur le marché international, tout le monde vend sur le marché international, mais le prix des produits qui viennent de l'Afrique sont plus chers. C'est ce que les gens disent, les acheteurs disent, comparé par exemple à tous les produits qui viennent du Vietnam. Alors, quelle est la solution que vous trouvez par rapport à cela?
Vous voyez, c'est exactement ce qui fait que c'est difficile de transformer en Afrique. Vous aurez remarqué que la majorité des transformateurs africains sont sur des marchés de niche, donc qui sont sur le bio. Parce que clairement, le conventionnel n'est pas rentable. Voilà. On ne peut pas transformer une usine, parce que la majorité des usines sont soit manuelles, soit semi-manuelles. On ne peut pas transformer une usine avec 2500 personnes, avoir des charges d'électricité aussi énormes que ce que nous avons, payer ses salariés, supporter tout ce que nous supportons comme charge et en définitive être rentable et aller compétir avec des usines vietnamiennes qui sont très lean en vérité. Voilà. Elles ont beaucoup d'expérience, elles ont les équipements à leur disposition. Nous, pour qu'on ait les équipements, il faut qu'on importe de chez eux. Les pièces de rechange, il faut qu'on importe de chez eux. Donc, nous sommes trop dépendants. Nous sommes tout simplement trop dépendants pour pouvoir permettre d'atteindre une certaine compétitivité avec eux, en tout cas pour le moment. Donc, on a besoin de ce support-là pour permettre donc d'arriver à cette compétitivité. Et comment cela peut donc se passer? Il faut que, en plus de tout ce que le gouvernement fait, il ne faut pas que ce soit des actions juste pérennes. Il faut que ce soit des actions ponctuelles, de sorte à ce qu'à un moment, ces unités-là puissent se prendre en charge et puissent elles-mêmes développer d'autres initiatives qui vont donc leur permettre de rester dans cette compétitivité-là.
Merci beaucoup. Je repars. Okay. To my left again. The same question goes to you. Price competitiveness. How do you achieve that compared to Vietnam?
Price competitiveness is all about starting with the right technology and right automation. So if we talk about the cashew processing, so today with the right technology and right automation, so we can definitely achieve that price competitiveness. And then the second is about the scalability. So if you have a right scale, so definitely your cost of production reduces in that. And then, of course, the efficiency. So efficiency is something which differs from company to company, and it depends on how the company managers and all are managing their production and how strong they are on the grounds and how on their feet all the time to manage the efficiencies of the kernels which are coming out, like the brokens or even the colors, or and then is about the labor. If we compare to Vietnam and the total cost of production, so if you see like the electricity prices, it's the same. Like in IVC and in Vietnam, the prices of electricity are same. The prices of labor is the same. So then why is there this price difference in cost of processing? It is mainly because of the efficiencies, which can only be achieved slowly and gradually, cannot be achieved on day one. And I think Ivory Coast is doing very good in that. As Mr. Siva mentioned, when he started, it was 3 kgs, and now it is up to 11 kgs, which I'm sure in a couple of years, they can be trained up to same 17 or 18 kgs, same as in other parts of the world. So that is how I believe that efficiency has to come in.
Thank you so much. Je sais que vous n'êtes pas dans la transformation, mais est-ce que la question, ça vous dit? Vous avez une idée par rapport à des éléments de mitigation par rapport à la compétitivité du prix?
Je pense que le marché, il est très vaste. C'est vrai que je ne suis pas dans la vente des amendes, mais je pense que l'État a mis un mécanisme pour permettre à nos transformateurs d'être compétitifs tant au plan local qu'au plan international. Aujourd'hui, nos transformateurs ont accès aux différentes certifications qui leur permettent de vendre, que ce soit aux États-Unis ou dans le Moyen-Orient. L'État aussi, comme l'a dit tout à l'heure Madame la directrice du CPC, a mis tout un mécanisme en place avec le Conseil pour que véritablement nous soyons compétitifs sur tous les niveaux. Et c'est ce qui explique un peu le boom que vous percevez actuellement en Côte d'Ivoire.
Merci beaucoup. Now let's go to the sustainability, okay, of the different mechanism or policies in the different countries. Those are things that can change with elections, for example, or budget constraints. So let's say the government puts in place a policy, okay, to support let's say the industry, and then after some election, this government goes, and then another one comes. What do you think the impact, okay, can be on the industry? I think I will go to Mr. Siva first. Okay, so policies, okay, can change anytime, right? With government changing as well, right? So what can be, do you think it is, it's not like difficult, it's not going to be difficult for anybody that comes in, for example, for the sake of the policy? For example, okay, some people came to Côte d'Ivoire with the 400 incentive, now it's decreasing. So, yeah, can you say something about that?
It's a very, very good question, and I'm strong advocate of IVC, so I let actually contradict a little bit actually. Yeah, this sudden change, in policies will always have negative impact. So this is definitely, this is a very clear case actually. So they just highlighted about, that 400 to 150 Siva. Definitely, it is going to it is going to affect the industry to a great extent. So this has to be passed on to somebody. Who do we pass it on to? So the buying price has to be reduced. That means the farmer get affected. So changes in policies very frequently will always have a negative impact. So they need to have a little bit medium-term and long-term views. Any policy has to be for 5 to 10 years' time, not shorter than that.
Je pose la question en français.
C'est bon, ça va aller.
Ok, parfait.
C'est comme ce que je disais, le gouvernement doit intervenir, mais pas de façon définitive. Voilà, il faut que ce soit des actions ponctuelles. Et c'est à la charge de ces industries-là de pouvoir se renforcer et puis pouvoir tenir donc le chemin sans après l'accompagnement du gouvernement. Effectivement, ce que vous dites, si en tant qu'il y a un gouvernement qui a mis en place un certain nombre de mesures pour accompagner la transformation et que ce gouvernement n'est plus là, que c'est un autre gouvernement qui vient, effectivement, ça peut créer de la difficulté. C'est en cela que ça doit être des actions ponctuelles et c'est pour cela que les entreprises doivent donc capitaliser très rapidement, profiter donc de ces actions qui sont mises en œuvre, de sorte à pouvoir opérer sans ces actions-là dans le futur.
Merci. Ça vous dit la question?
Bien entendu.
Okay.
Moi, je dirais que les pays producteurs, bien entendu, les pays africains, ont une économie particulièrement primaire, basée sur l'agriculture. Donc, je ne pense pas véritablement qu'un changement de régime ou une élection avec un changement de régime puisse impacter négativement cette politique-là. Parce qu'en réalité, c'est une volonté politique et il y a un plan d'action qui est clair et un objectif qu'ils doivent atteindre. Quel que soit le régime qui viendra, cette politique va demeurer.
Merci.
I would just like to say that's the risk we entrepreneurs carry with us, right? If we are setting up in any country for that matter, like Africa, India, or anywhere, and if we are only dependent on these policies at all. So that is the risk we entrepreneurs are carrying, and that is what we first identify, whether we have to enter that market with that risk or not, because that is always a situation and we cannot predict that at all. Of course, we can analyze that to our best knowledge and to the best information available, but that is something, risk is always there.
Okay, Mr. Caramelo?
I think creating policies, the environment to the processing is very important. Not can change every time, but you need to put in place anyway to create a good environment for the processing.
Okay, thank you. Fourth question. Let's talk about the regional disparity, actually, in terms of policies, okay? We've seen, very, examples, okay, that have given, very good result, like in Côte d'Ivoire, for example. But in some countries, I would take Benin, for example, where there is a ban, okay, on the export of the product. But we see now that Togo is now exporting more than it processes, which means that most of the product is coming to Togo, right? So, what do you think about that? Okay, do you think that the policy should be harmonized? I will begin with Mr. Pulkit.
So, as you rightly said, Benin did ban the exports of raw cashew, and yes, we can see, it's going to Togo and Nigeria. It's the border trade, which in my experience of 15 years, I've never seen that border trade has ever stopped. So, if a decision or a policy is made, so it has to be seen, not only keeping in mind that you have banned the exports, but you have to also see the border trade and how does it impact on that, and accordingly some policies have to be established. So definitely Benin as a country needs to work on a little more on this strategy, so which can make them successful. The decision was bold decision for a country, but they lack on a few things and few policies, which is making it difficult to work.
Okay. Monsieur Assouman, je crois que ça, c'est une question qui va vous intéresser beaucoup parce que vous êtes dans l'exportation. Alors, les décisions politiques, les décisions qui ont été prises, par exemple, en Côte d'Ivoire, je sais qu'il y a beaucoup de produits qui quittent la Côte d'Ivoire pour aller au Ghana, par exemple. Bon, quand bien même il y a toutes ces mesures-là pour empêcher tout ça, est-ce que vous pensez que la décision, pourquoi vous pensez que en fait, les politiques marchent bien dans un pays et pas dans un autre? Est-ce que vous pensez qu'il doit avoir une harmonisation par rapport aux politiques dans tous les pays?
Merci pour la question. Ça concerne la disparité régionale.
Absolument.
La question de la disparité régionale est fondamentale. Et je ne peux pas affirmer pourquoi ça ne réussit pas chez les autres. C'est vrai que la Côte d'Ivoire est un cas d'école et j'aurais souhaité aussi que les gens implémentent le modèle ivoirien chez eux. Mais tout dépend de la volonté politique. Quand l'État s'y met, il met les moyens aussi pour que nous, les acteurs particulièrement, nous puissions bénéficier des produits de cette spéculation. Et donc, comme je l'ai dit, je veux plutôt encourager les autres États à copier le modèle ivoirien pour pouvoir réussir aussi.
Merci.
Alors, effectivement, c'est vrai que ça marche suffisamment bien en Côte d'Ivoire. Et actuellement, je pense qu'il y a beaucoup qui sont en train d'aboîter le pas. En tout cas, au Burkina, on constate qu'il y a vraiment des changements sur ce plan. Il y a le gouvernement qui s'implique davantage dans la filière parce qu'ils ont compris que c'est une filière stratégique et qu'il faut tout faire pour promouvoir donc, cette filière pour permettre à la transformation locale de pouvoir se développer. Donc, je pense que petit à petit, les gens vont s'exercer. Dans les premières années d'application, il y aura forcément des erreurs qu'on va corriger sur le tas. Et après, bon, on va parfaire ça et je pense que viendra un moment où les gens seront alignés et ces politiques-là porteront vraiment beaucoup de fruits.
Merci.
So it's a very interesting time to discuss, this particular point, whether there should be harmonization in the policies. The advocate of WTO today is actually doing everything that suits them. So this is probably not the right time to discuss about harmonization. So each country has to do, their own. But just to be coming back to this particular point, while Benin lost a lot of cargo to Togo and Nigeria, Ivory Coast stopped the infiltration from Ivory Coast to Ghana. So also, if you put in the right measures in place, you may be able to prevent that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So I understand you can just scan and give your opinion. Can we continue? Okay, great. Okay. Let's talk now about the future vision. Okay. For you, in the next 10 years, for example, how do you see the landscape in terms of cashew processing in Africa? What does the future look like for you, actually? Yeah. Mr. Caramelo.
I think the future in the next 2 years is like you saw here, the implementation like Côte d'Ivoire. Because if you're not planning what you can do inside your country with the time, you need a shift in terms of the processing, where I think will be very difficult. You need to create the policies how we can grow in terms of the processing. You need to put the whole value chain, the cashew, in place, create the correct policies to create a plan for next 10 years, how we can achieve a number of tons in the production, how we can create a good environment for the factories to grow. Like Ivory Coast, you have the plan in 15 years, it grows a lot too much. Ghana, last 10 years, they not grow nothing. Is not have only one big factory, not compared with Ivory Coast. That means we need to create, if without any policy, any planning, you cannot go anywhere. I think next 10 years, my country, where I present here, you need planning well to achieve.
Thank you so much. Time is up, but you are operating in Nigeria. So how do you see the industry in Nigeria in the coming 10 years? What does it look like for you? Like let's say, a good, processing environment, cashew processing environment in Nigeria. What does it look like for you?
See, I think, there is realization from, Ivory Coast example. Ivory Coast has really set a good example. And other countries like Benin, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, everywhere, I think, we are seeing the impact of that. I'm sure, Nigeria also would do that. So I will just quote one thing. He said, one of the largest cashew processor in India first told me when the origin processing or Africa processing started, we said to hell with Africa, nothing else will be successful. So they will all close down. From there, a few years later, they said, oh, Africa started actually coming into the market. Today, Africa is commanding premium because we are selling our IVC processed cashew at a premium to what we source from other markets. So I see if this policy is sustained and the policy is followed in other countries, we will have a thriving cashew industry across West Africa.
Thank you so much. Alors, comment voyez-vous le futur? Pour vous, au Burkina Faso, comment voyez-vous le futur en termes de transformation? Une bonne industrie au Burkina Faso, ça ressemblerait à quoi pour vous dans 10 ans?
Pour moi, le Burkina Faso serait un bon pôle industriel dans 10 ans parce qu'on voit vraiment qu'il y a beaucoup de choses qui sont faites. Les gens sont en train de créer des unités. Il y a beaucoup d'unités qui sont en train d'ouvrir dans la transformation.
5 secondes encore.
Donc, je pense que nous allons y arriver. Et bon, en tout cas, bravo, félicitations à tout le monde et que tout se passe bien. Voilà.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Assouman.
Je pense que la politique est claire. Monsieur Gueux Simplice
En 15 secondes.
a déjà projeté.
15 secondes, oui.
Je dirais qu'en 2035, le secteur de la transformation de la noix de cajou en Côte d'Ivoire sera plus prospère. Ce secteur sera un créateur de revenus. Il y aura assez de revenus pour les producteurs. Et je vois un secteur performant avec des unités de pièces de réchange pour être encore plus compétitif. Ensuite, une filière pas totalement autonome parce qu'il ne faut pas oublier qu'il y a ce partenariat État, secteur privé, partenaire financier. Et je vois un avenir radieux pour la Côte d'Ivoire en termes de transformation dans les années à venir, surtout en 2035.
Okay. I think Mr. Pulkit had something to say. How do you see the future, in terms of processing, cashew processing in Africa?
The future looks very bright for Africa in terms of the cashew processing. Only a couple of things have to be seen. One is, only those countries who have good production capacities for raw cashew nuts, those countries will definitely thrive because countries with production capacities of say 100 or 150 or 200,000 tons, I don't think so they can survive much because, an ecosystem doesn't develop over there. But the countries with the higher capacities, definitely Africa is the future for them. And as I said earlier also, the government has to come into the picture initially to give the support to the processors. And so if the policies are right, so the future looks very bright for Africa.
Thank you so much. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Siva. Thank you, Mr. Arnaud. Thank you, Mr. Assouman. Thank you, Mr. Pulkit. And thank you to my good friend, Mr. Caramelo, for your insight. And thank you for your patience as well.
And thank you, Mr. Valentin, for running this debate for us.